So, 50 Shades of Grey after 40 minutes. 50 Shades of Grey. Grey with the E, not a A. 50 Shades of Grey. Oh, that looks bad. That looks bad. Hold on. Let's go back to 50 Shades. Just hashtag 50 Shades. 50 Shades. Okay, I gotta make sure. It took me a little minute to edit, so while I was watching, so I definitely see if I can remember this. Okay, so I had that. Then, oh, so he's like, she's there at the hotel, and then he's like, you're beautiful. She's like, Taylor has great taste, and then he was like, what are you doing later? And she was like, I gotta work. And he was like, what time you get off? So she's like, she gets off at 7. So he was like, all right, I'll have Taylor pick you up then. And so actually, hold on, hold on. Yeah. He's like, I have Taylor pick you up then or whatever. So he gets back up though. So like, it's the tension, right? It's the tension all up in the room. And the tension is in the room, is in the third. I can only imagine what the girls was like when they're watching the movie. It ain't funny to me, bro. It's funny. Because there's a lot of tension rising, the build up, the push and the pull, all that stuff, right? So he was like, all right, I'll have Taylor pick you up when you get off work after 7 or whatever. So he gets up close to her and he was like, I just want to bite that lip. She's like, I want you to. She's like, I like that. So, she's ready. Like, so anytime he makes an advance for her, she's like open and ready, right? So she's just ready, right? She easy. She ain't easy, but she easy for me. So, anytime he makes an advance for her, she's ready. And so he's like, I just want to bite that lip. She was like, I like that. So then, but then he said something like, not, yes, not, he's like, after the paperwork. He says after the paperwork. So then they get on the elevator, and then while they're on the elevator, he was like, F the paperwork, fuck the paperwork. And then they start making on the elevator for a little minute. Like I said, like whenever he makes an advance, she's like ready. And mind you, it was getting kind of annoying how many times he keeps touching her face, right? And she just, every time. He's like, fuck the paperwork. So they start making out on the in the elevator, hands up. He got hands up on the wall, this and that, boom. Then the elevator doors open, and then they got and then so these other guys get on the elevator. And he's like, what's this for elevators or whatever? So then he takes her home, and when she gets home, so mind you, from the party, his brother. From the party, his brother went with Kate. So when they open the door, her brother is on top of Kate. No, his brother is on top of Kate. And so they're like, oh, this and that third. So his brother started, putting his pants on, getting ready to, this and that third. And he's like, oh, you must be Anna. And she's like, you must be Elliot. And he's like, yeah, she told me a lot about you, da-da-da. And he was like, and then Christian Grey is like, yeah, come on, put your shoes on. We got this stuff. We got work to do. So he's talking. So they doing this whole thing or whatever, and then Elliot, which is Christian's brother, and then which is Christian's brother, looks at Kate, and he was like, later, babes, and then later's baby or something like that. He said something like, I think this is based in England. He's like, later's baby or something like that. And then from there, what did she? Oh, then they leave. The guys, Elliot and Christian, leave. And then so Kate was like, nah, you first. Like, you got to say what this and the third. And so she ain't lie. She was like, they kissed. She's like, they kissed once. She was like, once? That's odd. Just like that, boom, boom. And so, but then she's like, yeah, whatever. And then she goes to she's like, I gotta go to work. She's like, I gotta go to work. So Anna goes to work. Anna goes to work, and then of course while she's at work, she's all goofy and smiling and whatever, you know. Um, so then uh, this where it started. Whatchamacallit. So then it's boss shit though. This is on some. If a man could, he would. This is like this. The next little part of this movie is if a man could, he would. So, um, mind you, because you know, like those, it's certain, like if you could and would, and it don't hurt your pockets for nothing about doing X, Y, and Z. Like it ain't about nothing. So, after work, he was like, I'm gonna have Taylor pick you up. So she was like, you must be Taylor. And he was like, Miss Steele, Mr. Gray's waiting for you, you know? And so he get her in the car, and then he drive her whatever. So when he gets her to the destination, Christian is in front of a helicopter. So she get out, and he opened the helicopter door. She gets in the helicopter. This is some lavish shit. This is some lavish shit. So they give him the helicopter, and then so they get him the helicopter, and you know, tension is there. He buckling her up. She's like, oh. He's like, no escaping now. Like the tension up, because you know he had to buckle her up around the pelvis region, you know. So she hot and heavy. She hot and heavy. She's like, oh. He's like, yeah, it's no escaping now, you know. She's like, you about to fly this? He's like, yeah. You know, like Charlie Tango to Bravo Delta, this and the third. We're going to Portland we're going to Portland and Seattle. She's like, we're going to Seattle. So I know Portland's in Oregon, Seattle's in Washington. I don't know how far of a plane ride this is, but views of the sky and this and the third, whatever, right? So this, like, again, this some boss ass shit. If a man could, he would. How much wood could a woodchuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I'm just saying, this shit fly as hell. Because like James Bond had the airplane. Bro, you got to have an airplane. This is some billionaire boss type. Remember, I haven't read the book. I don't know nothing about nothing. I just know a little bit what people be talking about. So they get on the plane. They fly from Portland. No, yeah. Portland to Seattle. Yeah, Portland's in Oregon, right? And Seattle's in Washington. Yeah, so they fly from Portland to Washington. So they get there. Now, then they get off on the elevator, and you know, they don't do too much on the plane ride. Plane ride, they just, you know, making eye contact, looking at each other. The plane lands. So plane lands. They get off on the elevator, and they walk into like his place or whatever. He got one of them. I would assume it's like a penthouse type of junk. He got one of them James where it's like, I think it's a whole building, but like when you get off on the elevator, you're inside his house or whatever. He got one of them type of James. So they get off the elevator, they go in, and then he's like, oh, you want something to drink? She's like, yeah. You know, so he pours something to drink. And then, so at the table, sitting at the table, she's like, what's this? He was like, it's a non-disclosure agreement. He's like, no, my lawyer insists on it. He's like, you can't talk about anything that happens between us. It's those type of vibes, right? So she got to sign the NDA. She don't question it. She just go ahead and sign, right? Now this is the whatchamacallit. So, mind you, both times, like, so in the beginning, what she say? He asked, like, are you romantic? She was like, yeah, you know, I gotta be. That's when he ended the whole whatchamacallit from before, when they had the coffee jump. He was like, I'm not romantic. Well, when they had the coffee date, you know, when she says that she's romantic, he ends the date. He's like, yeah, I'm not the man for you. I gotta let you go. Then it get to at the table, she signed a non-disclosure agreement. Now I told you, she is ready. She is so ready, right? She is so ready. And like I said, anytime he makes any type of advancement, she is just open and ready, right? So as soon as she signed his non-disclosure agreement, she's like, are you gonna make love to me now? And so he gets up and he was like, two things. One, I don't make love. You gotta, I posted the shirt. If you see the shirt, you know what he says. He's like, I don't make love. Matter of fact, he look at it, I don't make love. I fuck hard. So he says that, right? She, but she ready though. She ready. She ain't just out there, boom, boom. That's one. And just but she's like, and the second thing, he was like, come. So they go around the corner, and then he like, all right, so like I said, the helicopter waiting. If you want to leave at any time, you can leave. She's like, what's going on, And he was like, this is my playroom. She's like, oh, like with your Xbox and stuff? He was like, remember, you don't have to go any further than this and the third. You can leave at any time the helicopter's waiting. She's like, just open the door, So he opens the door, and then, it's not one of those, how like a light just cuts on, like, it's a slow ambient light that cuts on. So he walks into the room. It's this dark. It was dark. Then it cuts on. It's one of them ambiance type. It cuts on slowly type of James. And it's just like, oh my God, 11/11 Grey season. I have a season 11 is my Grey season. So yeah, if you want to check that out, I was doing like, I'm not sure if I was doing spoken word or poetry. I don't know what I was doing. They're all gray. They're black and white. They're black and white gray visuals. Anyway, so I have a playlist called The Grey Season. That's season 11. Anyway, he opens the door, he cuts the lights on, and then she goes into the room, and she's like, oh my God, so she's just walking around, and then she touches something. He's like, that's a flogger. So, and then she's like, do women do this to you? Nah, he's like, I do this to women, with women. I do this with women. That, this and the third. And she was like, are you a sadist or whatever? And he was like, I'm a dominant. And she's like, women submit to me or whatever. And then she was like, well, why would I want to do that? He was like, to please me. And she was like, what do I get out of this? He was like, me. So he says that. And then, what else is after that? He says that. And then he is like, he said something about that. They have that whole little thing. They go around. Well, then they leave. He you know what I'm saying? Well, because he was like, say something. And then they had that whole little conversation about that part. And then they walk out the room, and then they walk down the hall, and he was like, there's some other little, negotiables or things that we can like negotiate and work out the other little stuff later. But he was like, this will be your room. And he was like, you can decorate it however you want. So she was like, what'd she say? He's like, you can decorate it however you want. She said, oh, so you'll sleep here with me? And then he was like, nah, I'm gonna sleep downstairs. He's like, I told you, I don't sleep with people. She was like, why? He's like, it's just the way I am. He's like, it's just the way I am. So there was that. And then he says that. And then she was like, she said something, she like, I'm at the 40-minute mark. They do sit down. They sit down and she does say something like, okay, like, what if I'm not comfortable with it or this and that third. She says that. I forget what his response is to it or whatever, but he was like, blah, blah, blah. As far as the room goes, she was like, so I would just stay here? You asked me to move in? He was like, nah, just Friday. What does it say? Just on the weekend. Just on the weekend. He was like, Friday through Sunday. That's it. He was like, you wouldn't be here throughout the week, just Friday through Sunday, da-da-da, boom, boom. So she's having a little conversation with him about like, okay, what if she doesn't like this and the third? So yeah, these are the whatchamacallits. These are, I don't know. I'm watching it. I remember I have not read the book. I don't know nothing about nothing, but it's just one of those. Again, if you've never been in those type of spaces or realms, or you know it exists, and like how does it happen? You get like involved in it, or any of those type of things, because those are like, what would you say? Like, they're not the norm, so they tend to lean on certain extremes. And then you getting comfortable and uncomfortable, and the stopping, starting, any of all that type of stuff. So it's like her, is she, but like, so it's a part, like, like, because you see, like, she wants him, like, right? So she willing, like, anytime he makes any type of advance, she's like ready, and she signed that NDA without question. She was like, you make love to me now?" Like, she didn't say it that earnestly, but still, it was like, that's not what it was. He was like, "Yeah, I don't make love, first of all." So it was those type of jokes. I'm trying to remember exactly what she is, because basically she's talking to him right now. Oh yeah, because she's like, "Well, if I'm not comfortable with certain things," so she asked about negotiating, and she asked about negotiating, and he was like, I have a contract, already drawn up, and it's fairly detailed. So I guess it's one of them type of. I'm not sure. Again, I haven't. I paused it just so I could, what I'm saying, talk about the last 10 minutes or so. But I would assume, I don't know. Maybe it's one of them type of James where it's like, um, they're not a fill in the blank, but it's on some, okay, there's options or alternatives, or those type of whatever. But she's asking about how to negotiate, type of thing. So she's not scared. She's not scared at all. Well, it doesn't. She's not giving off this vibe of like she's scared or anything. She seems a bit interested, and of course, there's more to the movie. So there is a bit of whatever. Like, I don't know. I think, yeah, I'm not. I already kind of sort of know how things kind of sort of go. Like I said, like, I never read any of the books, but I just know people talked about enough. So this gem was just a little funny. So it's now at the 40 minutes or so. Yeah, it's just 40-minute mark. So at the 40 minutes, she's been on the airplane. They doing a little coffee date. They done kissed one time. Fine. They done, he kept faking it, pump faking, then kissed one time. Now he done showed her the room. So it's 40 minutes in. Um, but you are like, well, if you haven't seen it, it's not okay. Okay, all right. When they about to, when it's about to get a little hot and heavy, this is what's going on. Her reaction to everything, how things are gonna go, or however it's supposed to go, whatever. And how do they depict this, and how do they, show this and this and the third? Because that's, oh, I think that's one thing I forgot to mention. So some people, again, I've never read this book. I don't know anything about books of this caliber, of this type, but I do remember a conversation popping up, and the conversation was that there are some people who like really read the genre, whatever this genre is called, and they read the genre, and they're like, this. There were just people who were just like, that basically is almost overrated, and that there were better books written within the genre. So I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing, but I just remember that being a conversation, and like, it's almost like an anime. Like, on anime, like, there's common animes like that people know, Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon or something. People know some like common ones, or Avatar: The Last Airbender. But if you talk to like certain anime people, they'll name some shows that you ain't never heard of, or they'll talk about Bleach or Naruto, One Piece, Hunter. It's not Hunter x Hunter, it's Hunter x Hunter, or Yu Yu Hakusho, Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, they'll start to name other stuff, like, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like, apparently, I just remember that being a conversation. People was like, "Oh, this is like," people was like, "It's one of those tip of the iceberg like type of Jones, like." It's the one that people know mainstream, but then there are other ones that are written better or more whatever. I think people are trying to, like, I don't know if it's, you start critiquing things for like plot and, character development and da 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 boo boo boo. So I don't know. Oh, so yeah, it's 40 minutes in. 40 minutes in. I'm I, I don't know how to explain this. I don't. I'm laughing. I'm laughing. Like, if I was me watching it by myself, I'm just like, oh, like, I'm laughing at certain things. So I don't want to say I'm enjoying it. I don't want to say I'm enjoying it in that sense. Well, I'm like, I am curious to keep going with this movie. I am curious to keep going along with this movie, see how things go and what happens. I'll say that much. I don't want to say like, oh yeah, this is. It's interesting. It's different in the sense of I've never, it's just it's not a movie that I've seen that before, and it's also in mainstream. It's pop culture, it was in movie theaters, all that. So um, this is just what you call it. Now there's three movies. There's three movies, but so I will say this: I have once I get to the end of this one, that'll determine if I want to watch. Because there's this one. This one's called 50 Shades of Grey. The next movie is called 50 Shades Darker, and then they have something called Freed. So I'll see how I feel about